Hooty hoo! Hey guys, welcome to the, well, I guess it was last week? No, nope, welcome to the new year. Yes, it is episode 28. But, see, I had already started this episode, but I had to restart it because someone had to go to the bathroom and wouldn't stop covering it up. Um, so now we're redoing this. Right, Bullet? Right. Hope you guys heard that. So our topic today is responsibility, but don't you start playing with shit now. No, you don't do it. Silly fella. So our topic is responsibility. And, you know, it can go many ways, but for me, I'm talking about what's my responsibility and our responsibility as people with disabilities to the rest of the cause, or the rest of the group. But before I get that, I have some things to kind of go into, and actually one of them is going to be, kind of goes in with the responsibility thing, and I didn't mean it to. So there's some new tech I would like to buy for the podcast. A whole, like, board. It's called the Rodecaster Pro. Google it. It's like $600. It's ridiculous. It's awesome, and I think I'm going to buy it. And it's kind of like, I learned this in Miss Robbins' class, the whole, money burning in a hole in my pocket. And I always thought, because like when you're a kid, things resonate with you in weird ways. So like when I first heard that, like you actually get the idea of like putting money in your pocket. I remember just thinking like my pocket was on fire and there was holes in it and the money would just fall out. And so, and one of the things I didn't bring up in the father figure episode was that, at least I didn't think I did, so if I repeat myself, I apologize. You do enough of these. You don't remember everything you say. But I don't think I did. Every one of those people that I mentioned, benefited me. Some were negative and whatever, but you learn a lot of things from them. But one of the things I didn't learn as far as being a man was how to take care of my finances. And when I see something like this Rodecaster Pro, I just want to just buy it instantly. Now, I can afford it, no problem. And that $600 just went in and so on. So basically, it just is a wash. I could just pay it off, right? But you have all these other bills, and I have this OCD. I don't want to go below a certain amount, and I still won't, but I'm just better with my money. If you gave me $1,000 years ago, I would just spend it. I'd find a way to spend it that weekend. And it didn't matter what it was. It could be something stupid, and I would just buy it. So, when I moved down here and I first started working, and I was paying my grandma rent, so I was like, okay, there's a responsibility. Pay your phone, pay your rent. And then Social Security, I had to get all that transferred over. Now, this is before I got disability, and one of the what's the term I'm looking for here? Well, one of the negative things of having Social Security or SSI, is you can only have, and again, this was 5 years ago, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. You can't have more than $2,000 in the bank, and I'm pretty sure that's by the next Social Security payment. So on January 1st, you can have $19.99 in, but you can't have $2,000 in or more. And I don't know if they take it out or they do, I don't know how they penalize you for it, but they do. So in saying that, after a couple paychecks, all of a sudden $2,000 was in there. So I had to keep taking money out, and then I got a fireproof lockbox and just kept putting money in there. And once I got $1,000, I would put a paperclip on there. So I kind of got addicted to seeing the money go up and more stacks of thousands of dollars. I was like, okay, I like this. But I also had to do it. Now, you could have said, well, you could have just went and spent it. But I also had to have rent in there. I had to keep paying for groceries, and I had to keep paying for a cell phone and all that nonsense. So in order to do that, you have to get better with your money. But I would still buy myself some things here and there. And I was like, oh, okay, I like that, I want that. But I was very careful. Like I came up here with maybe 3 pairs of Timberlands. I have over 21 pairs, at least 21 pairs. And that's not including shoes. I came up here with maybe 10 pairs of shoes, and now I have God knows how many. But in total, boots and shoes is like 60 pairs. Okay, so, but a lot of the crap that I bought, like a lot of the shit that I keep buying right now, is stuff I bought while having the apartment, where I'm paying a much bigger fee, bigger rent, than I was paying my grandma. So it's just I'm making more now, and it's helping. And this isn't a brag, because I know people are struggling, and that's not what this is about. But it's about responsibility. And so then moving here in this apartment, $800. What the fuck am I talking about? Well, my rent's about 800, whatever. I don't know why I had to say that, but anyway, my rent is much higher, and I have my cell phone bill, and I have my internet bill, and then I got my little Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max, and all that shit, and just whatever, little subscriptions here and there, Apple Music and all that. But I have to stay on top of all that. And even though I had basically rent, but the rent I would just give the grandma in cash. I was like, here's your cash, and then each paycheck. And then, when I started paying the cell phone, it was just write a check and send it out. So I then, when I eventually moved in here, I don't know, it was kind of like a smooth transition, but it wasn't as well. Like, it was just weird. But I think what helps is that everything is so, like, the digital world has really changed everything. The fact that I don't have to write checks for the most part. My rent check I do and all that, but like a lot of these like subscription stuff, they all come out of my account, and I could just go on I go on my bank account app, check what's going on, what's going in and out, get a credit card. And that's another thing. Like, I developed using a credit card, and that's where I buy all my shoes with, my Apple card. And I get a certain amount, and then I just keep paying it off. And, there's always some sort of money that I owe, but I keep paying it, I'll keep paying off, and my credit keeps going up. But I remember when I got my first credit card, it was like $500. I was just like, whatever. And then it went up to 1,000, and then I end up like using that to like half on a Mac. And then it's just like, but it was like this big amount staring at me like, shit, I owe $1,000. And then I paid it off, and then I owed another 1,000. Whatever. I just kept, I tried not to go that far, but eventually just kept going up and going down, up and down, but down. But my credit my credit got so much better, which is good. But it takes part of the responsibility that kind of I had to teach myself. It's not that my mom and grandma or certain people around me weren't good at their finances. I don't know. It's not something that ever really came up because, one, I never really lived on my own. Two, I didn't really have much money coming in. Any of the Social Security and stuff I had, I would just let my mom have it. And so the money that I did end up having, I would always spend it on stuff. So I didn't really have any knowledge of how to take care of myself in that way. And so I taught myself that. And something I've kind of appreciated. So I say that when I want to buy this technology, I could buy it tomorrow. I'm considering it because I don't want to buy it. And then it's like, damn, do I really want this? So I want to do a little more research, go on YouTube and look at more videos and just, I could always take it back, but chill. He always wants to show off. So yeah, our topic is responsibility. But before I get back to what's the responsibility for me and us as people with disabilities, I wanted to just give a couple updates. I have a bunch more interviews coming for this year. What else? Just goals for this year. Just podcast goals, essentially. I mean, goals in general, just being a better person and all that. But, yeah, my goals for the year is just I'd like to get it monetized. I want to continue to find more people, different conditions, tackle more topics. One of the topics I'd like to tackle is homelessness. Child abduction, the child trafficking. I would love to go find something for that. Dwarfism, which I believe I have a guy who's going to come on. So that's great. Yeah, I mean, all disabilities, any disability, even ones I've already covered, and just any experience. Yeah, I mean, I have someone coming on for cerebral palsy, and she's a great woman. That would make me very sad. What else? I mean, yeah, there's so many topics, and again, I would like to dabble back in addiction, and not literally, but for an episode. Yeah, I'm gonna try to be more positive this year. We're gonna just continue to put out content. I met a new friend, Raven, great person, and she's gonna come on. We're gonna talk about work placement and just other stuff, and so yeah, I mean, like I said, I have a lot of good guests coming up, and it should be a good year. I mean, cross your fingers, knock on wood, blah 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 blah. All right, so I don't want to rant too much this episode. So responsibility. As far as my responsibility, is obviously just be super honest. That's all I can be, because I can't expect you guys to come on here and interview or be interviewed and spill out what you want, your deep secrets or your whatever you've been through. I can't expect you to do that unless I do it. So, and of course, I've been doing that, and like, people have been coming on and just all been so great, and I learned a lot from everyone, and all the others that I have yet to meet, and the others that haven't come on yet. But, like I said, the podcast has kind of taken a transition for all people with disabilities, not just the eye department or just about me or any of that. Like, you'll still get stuff from me. Like these single episodes, which is me talking or whatever. You'll get that, but you're also going to get a lot of interviews and just different perspectives and just, whatever. Anything is on the table, as long as it's something that's important. So there's two things I really don't want to talk about in religion and politics, and everything else I don't care about. I mean, everything else I care about. Those two things, don't give a shit. Let's see. So my responsibility. So keep it honest and genuine. And one of the things when I say about keeping it honest is that I reveal a lot of dark secrets, and I say a lot of things that are going through my head. And, it could scare people. It can make people go like, wow, I could never admit that, or I could never tell people these things, right? Well, but there's a lot of people that it can relate to. And I'm not telling you all these things because not even that I'm proud or I hate them. I just care about the cause and getting us to a better place. And there's a lot of us that aren't honest about our disability. Not only to ourselves, but to other people. There are plenty of people who have conditions that were celebrities or have some sort of notoriety, motivational speakers that are out in the world that downplay if you can hear any crunch. I can hear the feedback because I have the headphones in my mic. But if you can hear crunching, it's Bullet eating. He takes his food and brings it closer to me. Like, he takes it from the kitchen to the living room and just starts chewing. Apparently, he likes to eat with me. That's his thing. So it's very cute. It's just It's annoying when you have to find it and you're legally blind because you're tired of stepping on food. Luckily, it's just hard little bits. But anyway, he's an adorable guy. But yeah, so a lot of people in our community, quiet phone, can be very fraudulent of how they put out to the world what they're going through. I mean, there's a famous YouTuber who downplays their blindness, uses it in the titles and to get certain views, but then when it comes to kind of when the cameras are on and when people can see how blind she really is, she edits all that out because she doesn't want to look bad. And she's not the only one. I've seen other people, just whether going to school with them or whatever, or out there in the world online, and they don't want to be accepted. In some ways, some of them are more like, oh, I want to just be known as this person. Like, I want to be known as TJ, not legally blind TJ. But I understand that sentiment, I do. But that's also not realistic. And not even that it's not realistic, it's also just idiotic because you can't downplay it. Like, you can't not see it, so how are they supposed to not see it? No matter how hard you try to pretend, and again, of course, it depends on your condition, but it's probably going to be hard to hide to the general public. And we can't downplay what we have. We have to own it. We have to love who we are. And I've said, like, I don't want to say I love being disabled, because one of my goals for the year is I'd like to find a better word. Because I'm not a word person. I just don't like the word disabled. Bullet, will you stop? Why are you being so annoying? Go to sleep. You're always just sleeping and cuddly, and now you just get a microphone and you just want to annoy me today. But yeah, so we have to accept it, because I love, in a way, I love being disabled. I love that I've been through a lot of shit and that I'm still here and I could be one of the voices for us. And that I love the journey I've been through, regardless of the darkest and saddest days. I can still stand and feel like, I don't know about a badge of honor, but I have something that I can just be proud of. And it's not something that just goes away like, oh, I served one time in the war or whatever. No, I've served every day. Not in that way, but, I fight every day. And there's never going to be a day I won't have to fight. So, I don't know, like, I don't think there's any other choice, or there's no other way I could ever downplay what I have, even if my eyes got a little better. I've always had this fantasy of, like, what happens if my eyes got better tomorrow? And I would just think, like, in the short term, like, in the long term it would be great, but in the short term it would be hard. I would probably lose the job I'm at. I would probably lose my disability. Yeah, just there's be a lot of, and then of course there's all the adapting, and Raven and I talked about this, where losing. I just lost my train of thought. You see, like, I don't know if this is age, guys, or I just was dropped on my head at one point when I was a child, and then it's just slowly, finally coming to, like, it's all finally, culminating into this. So, oh, Jesus, what were Raven and I talking about? Damn it. Oh, I hate my head. Anyway, when it comes to owning your disability and just being honest, not only with yourself, but just everyone, you have to try to stand as tall as you can and just not let anyone, because the world's going to make you feel ugly. The world's going to make you feel like you're not normal, because the world is a lot of hatred and negativity, but the world's not made for us. So we have to create our own world around it or within it. And to do that, we have to own it on our deep down. We have to actually say, look, I am TJ. I am legally blind. There's a good chance this will never change. Can you live with what you have right now? And absolutely. Now, it's the unknown is what scares me. The losing of all of it or more of it going. But if this was my life right now, for the rest of my life, I would be okay. I could stand on that. I would still be depressed. I'd still have problems. But I could live with it more. It's the unknown that scares a lot of us, especially me. And so I'm always going through different emotions. And one of the responsibilities for this podcast is I have to be honest with you guys. I can't just come on here and pretend to be super happy, because a lot of these people, that's what they do. They do this happy-go-lucky because they're safe and they can get on big shows, and people will give them, like, oh, they're so brave. But they don't want to talk about mental health, and they don't want to talk about the darkest of days and the saddest of days. They want to talk about the happy stuff, and that's not realistic in our lives. It doesn't mean we don't ever get happy. That doesn't mean we don't ever enjoy life. But a lot of times it's the distractions that really help us get through life. You know, our music, you know, our entertainment, or our animals, our friends, our family, our lovers, whatever, is what gets us through it. But a lot of times life is just not going to be not only fair, but it's never just going to be fun. You know, I don't smile as much as I used to, and I know that's bad, but I'm not as fake as I used to be either. I don't do fake things. I don't have much of a filter. I try not to be anyone else. I just want to be me. And I like me for the most part. But I don't entirely. I mean, there's plenty of days I look in the mirror and I just go, look at that ugly piece of shit. That's not always, but that's how I feel sometimes. There's days where I get in my own head and I tear myself apart. Now, I don't cut myself. I don't hurt myself in any way, at least physically. But mentally, I do plenty of damage. But there are days where I can look at myself, and I think 2020, and this is something Raven and I did talk about, where I told her that 2020 taught me a lot about myself and taught me a lot about the things I should appreciate when it comes to the family I have, the friends I have, which are family, and this podcast, and just my being able to breathe, my ability to walk, the fact that I have some sight, the things I need to be grateful for. There's a lot of bad things that are happening, not only last year, but are happening right now as we speak and as you listen. And that's terrible. So I don't want to come on here and just, and I don't, but I'm looking at it from this episode and just saying, like, yeah, I have a responsibility to always give you the real emotion and not just come on here and go, hey guys, I'm so happy. And deep down, I want to slit my throat. And so we have to keep real. I mean, we have to keep it real with ourselves. And, one of the things not only do I need to do, but we need to do as a community, as the disabled community, more of us need to speak up. More of us need to try to make change. More of us need to, because there's a lot of us that can't. Like if you look at the special needs community, like, a lot of their family does the speaking for them, and they fight for them, and they get them in the right programs, and, when they're mistreated or whatever, all hell breaks loose because of, the love that they have for them. And that's awesome. And I think a lot of us think that's going to happen for us, and that's not the case, because We don't need that. And there's nothing wrong with them needing that, because they have certain problems that, they don't have certain affordabilities that we do. And they're a part of our community, and we should speak up for them too. But we also need, we can't, I as a legally blind person can't speak for the blind and the visually impaired. I have to speak for the deaf, whatever you want to call them, the crippled, the whatever it is, there's a lot of disabilities like that we just don't consider, or just conditions, things that their lives are just so much harder because of what their problems. And that's why I said I want to talk about dwarfism, or I interview somebody with one, because their lives are so much harder than ours. I don't know what they call us, but full-sized people or whatever. And I want to know more about them, because their lives can't be easy, because life is made for tall people. And we, like I said, we have to build a life within this world. And one of the things we don't do and we need to do is support each other. We need to stick together. We cannot just jump and run to our typical corner and just go something will come along or whatever. We sit around and complain and we cry and we punch and we do whatever. We get so mad and frustrated with life, and it's valid, but laying in your bed crying is not going to save you, is not going to get you anywhere. If we're going to change people's minds, sometimes we got to make a lot of choices that are going to be hard, that aren't going to be the easiest choices. You may lose some people through it, or you may put a lot at risk to do it. But what is your sanity, and what is your goal? All the things you're trying to accomplish in life, what is that worth to you? And if I do something well, if this podcast takes off, and one of the things I do appreciate what I do is that I'm bringing my friends with me, and I'm making new friends along the way, and I'm bringing them with me, because I'm not doing this alone. I don't want to do it alone. I've been alone my whole life. I don't want to do this shit alone. I want every one of you with me. And you don't have to be disabled to come with me, but it's a journey, and I don't want to be the one person that's the anomaly where it's wow, why can't they all do that? I don't want that. I want all of us. Disabled people are awesome people. We can do so much more than we're told, and what they allow us to do. Because people make, and I said this in the racial episode, where it's whoever gets to the top of the pyramid, they make all the rules. Well, it's the same thing. It's just, this isn't necessarily a race thing. This is a able body that is okay, I can see 20/20. I can hear whatever. I can walk. I can do I'm this height and this and that. And I will make everything for me. Don't need extra devices. Don't need certain magnifications or whatever, because I'm good. Well, that's not realistic, because a lot of people have many different problems. Some people can hide theirs more than others. But a lot of times you hire people that are just not that great of a worker. You're just hiring them because they're an able body. Yeah, I could drive a forklift. But it's if you really train a visually impaired person to use a push lift, it's very possible. I've seen it done. There's many ways around everything. It's just, do you care enough? Because you see a lot of, and this is a topic me and Raven are going to talk about, and I know I'm talking about a person you have yet to meet or talk to, but she's coming. But this is the topic we're going to talk about when it comes to work, and this will bleed into that episode. But I want better trained, we talk about we want better cops, I want all these different things. Yes, but training is part of that problem. And I've been in interviews where people are just
I love everything you're saying, and you seem smart, and you seem like you have a good head on your shoulders, and then they there's a but there's not a but. It's a subliminal but that's coming out of their brain that they're just not saying through their mouth. And you never hear from them again. And I'll tell some stories on that episode, but and so we don't have, and that stuff drains us. Doctor's appointments drain us. Doctor's appointments drain us. Like a lot of interactions we have with people, so many things that just hurt us because people are so ignorant to what we go through, and they only know what they think they know. And because there's stereotypes in every community, and stereotypes a lot of times are right, but some people misconstrue what a stereotype is. Because plenty of people will say like, "Oh, you don't look blind," but because you're taking a stereotype of visually impaired, but you're saying a stereotype of visually impaired person has to have a dog or a cane or whatever, and also I said I'm visually impaired or legally blind, and you took the last word. It's kind of like when you're a kid, your mom may ask you like, "What do you want, cookies or cake?" And you say cake because cake was the last word you heard. So you hear blind, and you put that in big letters and say, you're blind. But then you don't look blind. How can you walk that fast? Or how can you do this and that? It's like, I didn't say I was blind. Like, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean I can't walk. It's just harder for me to walk. Or you could be deaf in one ear. Doesn't mean you're entirely deaf. Excuse me. So, we have to change the minds of people. Education, and not even just college, but just educating people. There's not enough of us on the front line going like, hey, it's not that bad being this. And yeah, it's hard, and there's a lot of challenges, but we are people. We live our lives. We want to do everything you do. We want to own a place. We want to have a job. And a lot of us have and I'll speak especially for myself, a lot of times when I speak about like some of my accomplishments, I'll go through people like, "Oh, what have you accomplished in your 32 years and this and this and this." And one of the things, if I say like, "Oh, I got my own place and I got a job," they look at you like, "That's an accomplishment? Like, do you make six figures and shit like that?" No. But I do very well for myself. Especially, and again, doing well for TJ is not doing well for like a nurse or whatever. Like, if a nurse made my money, she would have quit. She would have quit a long time ago. It wouldn't be worth it. So it's because we can only strive for so much. And as Angela and I were talking, there's a ceiling. And our ceiling is so low. But when we break through it, it's like, wow, you accomplished a shitload, didn't you? Wow, you made it to college. It's like, yeah. But the one thing that we reflect on ourselves that's not fair is that is an accomplishment. Because these people have it easy. They don't have these disabilities. They don't have people staring at them. They don't need extra equipment. So with when it comes to when I say I have my own place, I pay my own rent, I can take care of myself. I've been working for the last 6 years. That doesn't sound like an accomplishment to the average person. But when you're legally blind and there's only so much you can see and like I said, can't drive. But I always manage to get where I need to get to. Now, again, I also have a lot of good people in my life that help me get to these places. But how do you think I got those people? It's just not just by sitting in my apartment, not interacting. And I have to be a certain type of person to get this amount of good people in my life to help me. But if I have to, I'll take the bus. I'll take Uber. I'll take Lyft. Because that's, like I said, it's just survival. I know how to survive. And so being a good representation, responsibility, being a good representation of our community means a lot to me. And not being perfect or not being, like, intelligence means something to me, but, it could, because part of the problem is a lot of times people interview some of us and people already think we're slow. People already think that we don't have anything to offer and we're just helpless people. But that is far from the truth. Yes, some of us have special needs and certain mental incapabilities and whatever, and that's not their fault at all. But they equate that with all of us. And it's like, oh, you're looking close to the paper, so you must be retarded. And I know that might not be a correct term in today's world, but those are the things I've heard to myself and to others. And it's like, okay, that's what you think. And it's so frustrating because I also come from Philadelphia, rough city. And deep down, I just want to slap the shit out of every one of those people. But I also, what if I'm on the clock and I'm working? I don't want to lose my job. I also don't want a lawsuit. And you don't really have much of a case if someone just says, like, hey, and some things are kind of implied, but you can't prove it. You know what they're doing, but you can't prove it. But it's like, oh, I slapped the shit out of somebody because, they talked around me. They talked to my grandma and said, what do you think he would like to order? Yes, this has happened. And I'm in my late 20s, and they're just like, what do you think he would like to eat? And it's like, hey, hand up. Yeah, me here, human. I'd like to talk to you. Yeah, I'd like your finest pancakes. But I'm in between calling you horrible names, but I also don't want you to spit on my food. So let's just be nice to each other. Your tip is going to be very low, by the way. And we will you just go get my food. And you just be a little servant, because I am not going to tolerate you. And I'm just going to hope to God I never get you as a waiter or waitress again. And that happens to a lot of us, because it doesn't matter. Like, we're treated like children, or, we have some sort of special needs. And so being a good representation of us matters. So a lot of these people who interview some people with disabilities, they find ones who are incapable of defending their points or speaking. They can speak, but they're a little off, and that's, like I said, I don't mean to be shitty to those people. There's nothing wrong with that, but at least for the beginning phase of this, we need the right people speaking, because we already looked as that. So when you put one of them up there and you go, hey, speak for us, and it's not the most intelligent conversation, they just look like, oh, see, told you, figures. And we can't have that. That's not something that looks good on us. Doesn't mean we can't fight for them, because we damn sure need to. They're a part of us. They are us. It's just their life may be a little less fortunate. Maybe they spent their whole life inside, and they went to summer school. They were homeschooled, and they didn't get proper etiquette or whatever because of life has been so hard on them. So they only know what they know. And or maybe they actually have certain problems that cause that. And that's life, and that's super, super unfortunate. And when we fight for them, we fight for ourselves and every other disability, any underdog, I guess. So being a good representation means everything. You can't just represent yourself. You can't just represent your condition. That if that's a start for you, cool. But I've seen visually impaired people make fun of blind people, and that's like the biggest hypocrisy. Like you have to, if you can't even support that person, but get out of here. You can, like, how I can't stand next to you and fight with you. You're not a person, but will you get out of here, please? Because you're becoming a headache today. Get off. Sorry guys, making noises. I know. But yeah, so you need to, like, every move counts right now. Get out of here, man. I swear you're a little pest today. And I know he missed me. He always gets happy when I get home. But now he's not even, like, paying attention to me. He's just going off and playing with everything. Because he knows I'm doing a podcast and he likes to interrupt and everything. So, we're going to have a talk, little fella. But yeah, I mean, you can't, you have to, everything has to be calculated. And, you see somebody who's going through something, be nice, man. Like, if you see somebody with a walker or whatever, like, give a shit. That's another episode I want to do. I want to do something for the elderly. Because they're another forgotten group, and they have tons of experience, but also knowledge and trauma. And so we have to take care of them too. And so as a group, like, what is our responsibility as a whole? Not just me. We have to stick together. We have to find others like us and make a difference. Because, like, if some of us who are a little more fortunate than others, be there for them. Inspire them. Because some of these people who are less fortunate than us, maybe let's just say it's financially or whatever, their disability is a little harsher and prevents them from doing some of the things you can do. Like, I can walk. I'm very fortunate for that. There's people who cannot get out of their chair, their bed, whatever. You guys heard Rob's episode. He's trying his ass off, and I'm so proud of him, and things are just working for him. But he's even fortunate because not everyone's body comes back, even on the amount that it has for him. There are people who can't walk, period. And I'm fortunate I can walk. So if there's someone in a wheelchair, hold the goddamn door for them. Like, don't. Like, we have to be better people. And again, not just the people with some sort of ailment or whatever, but, you see an old lady, open the door for her, man. Hold it, do something nice. See a homeless guy, throw him $1. Like, yeah, maybe he'll go buy booze, but you know what? Whatever. That booze may get him through his problems. Yes, it may not get him another home. It may not fix us. I don't know. But, we all have shit we're dealing with, and we deal with it in different ways. I don't agree with all of everyone's choices, but you know what? They're not my choices. We only get one life. And not only do we only get one opportunity in our life, but we only get one life. We don't get to share. We don't get to, control other people's lives. People try that, but we don't. And so I know I'm rambling, but so, start by just helping another person. You see someone who's less fortunate than you, help them. Because you may be able to inspire them to start speaking or doing something that they're passionate about that everyone has told them they can't do. We have limitations, but we have way fewer limitations than what people put on us. So, like, one of my limitations is driving, right? But I'm also told that I'll never be able to work or, probably live on my own and all these other things. Well, I proved all the other ones wrong. I just can't fucking drive. So, if I can make as few amount of limitations as possible. But at first I have to believe it. And in order to do that, you need good people around you that can constantly push you. You need the right amount of love and tough love. And you get that right amount of balance, and then you continue to work at yourself. Keep fixing yourself. Don't ever, just because you're better than what people are telling you, doesn't mean you're perfect, or you know, you still can't ever think you're good enough for you. Like, you have to keep striving for greatness, for perfection, even if you're never going to come close. So if you're in a better place than someone else, you may be the reason, or at least a small tidbit of a reason why they push further. And, you know, we don't have enough of us doing the right thing. We have some good people out here. Take me out of it. I'm just getting started with this. I mean, I've done little things over time and all, but this is where I'm really fired up about getting this podcast and just getting my voice out there and getting other people's voices out there so we can become a more united group. You know, I'm thinking about starting my own Facebook group and then having all these people that are that I've been interviewing, and they all can come in and they all have stuff they want to support or promote. And then it'll just be a group for people with disabilities who support each other. And that's all. I just want a community where we all feel like we fit in and we all matter. I don't care about whatever part or whatever of you is broken or damaged. Just accept each other. That's all you can do, Try to learn from each other. Never think you're better than the other person because maybe you're a little more able than the other person. Because, again, that's a lot what happens. Sometimes people have a certain condition, but it's more passable and it's a little more safe, where someone can be so friendly and they can look a little more normal, I guess, if you want to call it. And then people will treat them differently. And then they feel like, there are people who have conditions that think they're better than other people because they got some sort of status and they completely broke through their ceiling, and they snuck through the cracks. And now, instead of bringing us with them, instead of constantly giving back and, uplifting others like us, they think they're one of the normal people or whatever, the able bodies or whatever. And so they placate to them to seem, they want to keep that status. In order to keep that status and to feel like you're accepted by those people, even though they're not, it's just they're a little more accepted. They not only downplay what their problems are, but they also shun a lot of us away. And it's like, oh yeah, like I'm not one of them. And that's it. Like there's famous people that are blind or have conditions. You forget that they have those conditions half the time because they have some sort of talent, and people don't really recognize them as that because they don't do anything for us. Do they have to? No. But I mean, I'm speaking to the people that are tired of taking the world shit and tired of crying and tired of wanting to die and all that. And if you want some sort of freedom and you want some sort of safe haven, first you have to take the onus on yourself and what are all the problems that you are bringing upon yourself. And seeing because not everything life throws at you is unfair. Some things seem unfair because there's so much unfairness that have been brought upon you. But if you really look through and decipher what's there, some of it is just you're causing more of the problem. It's like if you're depressed and you just start like finding other things that happen in your life that were sad too, even though it's not something you're bothered by. It's like you're depressed because your girlfriend broke up, and then you go like, oh, my dad doesn't love me too, and it's like, where the fuck did that go? Where, what? And you just pile on, and to the point where you just want to throw yourself out a window. And so you need to get tired. You don't want to reach a breaking point. It's a breaking point. I mean, no, there's two breaking points. There's the breaking point that where you want to end everything or do something idiotic. Or there's the breaking point of just, alright, I'm not taking no more shit. I'm done. I am changing this for the good. Maybe you're overweight and just like, look, I want to lose weight. I'm tired of people making fun. I'm tired of people staring at me. I'm tired of hating myself. I need to do something. And we can do that. And that doesn't mean, like I said, being honest with you guys is all I can be. So, me still telling you that I have all this self-reflection of hatred towards myself. I don't hate myself, but I have certain things where I just dislike. I feel like I could be a little less socially awkward, and I could be friendlier and whatever, and funnier or whatever the hell it is. But my pain just, it's like I'm just polluted. It's, I'm flooded with all this darkness sometimes. And it's better, but I know I'm still far from where I want to be. And I need to just keep trying. And every time I get knocked off the horse, the metaphorical horsey, you just got to keep getting up. And again, it's easier for some of us. And some people are far from getting up. But first look at others, and that's why I said we also have to be better examples for others. Most disabled people know other disabled people because we want to find others like us. We want to know that we're not the only ones out here. And in order to do that, we just have to search. We need to seek and like, oh, hey, so-and-so, like, I'm also like you, and I also go through this, but this and this, I don't have this problem, and this part of my life is harder than yours, but this part of my life is easier. And you just, we all don't want to be alone. And sometimes going through life is just trying not to be lonely. So, I don't know, guys. I don't want to ramble much more, but like I said, if you're someone who's going through something, even if you don't have a disability, just if you're going through some mental health issues, or you're just, whatever discrimination you're going through or whatever, but if you have if you're fortunate in certain ways, just love those people. Like, find those other people like you and create your own little space and just push back against the world. Just say, like, no, man, we're not like this. We are different. But different is not an insult. That's another thing. Like, stop letting these people run space in your head and insult you. Yeah, my eyes are broken. But guess what? Doesn't mean I'm not a good person. Doesn't mean I don't belong in this world. Even when I don't feel like I do. I've always joked and said, like, if there was like a rocket ship and they said, we're taking, the first 1 million people to the next planet and you have to stay there, I would sign up. Because I hate a lot what people become and the rules and the things that have been put in place for us and the restrictions that keep us from prospering and getting along and being united. So, yeah, guys. Sorry if I rambled too much. Just something that was on my mind. And I don't know. Maybe I'm not the greatest representation of people who are disabled. I don't know. I guess it's up to interpretation, but I try to be. I never claim to be perfect or anything. I'm just trying to be a better person every day, every year. And I wasn't too bad of a person in 2020, but I'm sure I could look back and say I did this wrong or said that to that person or whatever. But so I'm human, so we all make mistakes. So yeah, guys. Next week will be another interview. I'm not sure exactly who. I think I know who, but I don't want to say it and then someone else. So yeah, guys. I hope everyone has a good 2021. I'm not gonna promise you anything, and just try to be as nice as you can to others and be more accepting. And I think we're gonna get a lot of evil this year too, and so be it. But you still gotta be who you are. So don't change for anyone else. And yeah, love y'all guys. I hope to keep this going and continue to build a bigger community for us. Just be part of it anyway. So yeah, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one, and yeah, till next time. Bye bye.